That's why the election was lost.
You woke. Now you can. Now don't get me wrong. Inflation, immigration, of course. But that woke culture, they took the shit too far.
You got to watch my show. I know you don't get a chance to see it always. You have to see it Friday because
past Friday.
No, it's like he's crazy, but crazy people don't have the time to pretend about. That's why he can say whole countries.
You say everybody time.
As if nobody else ever said
Bill,
or thought that there were whole countries.
But Bill,
lately, it feels like liberals can't even tolerate their own side. Now they're turning on each other.
These days, it seems the liberals can't even stand their own.
Smith sat down with Bill Maher, and the two unloaded on how the Democrats have completely lost touch with reality, and the sparks flew. Two lifelong Democrats ripping into their own party for all the right reasons. Absolute spectacle. Grab the popcorn, this one blazing.
I have never wanted to be on your show more than I wanted to be on your show when Biden announced that he was going to run for re-election. Because I'm like this, what y'all going to say now? This is some straight bullshit. You got a situation where you won the midterm. You denied, you halted, you warded off the red wave. And you, knowing you're going to be 81 at election time, knowing you're going to be 82 in office, right? It wasn't the midterm. It was when the State of the Union address took place. And I saw these people, remember the liberals, so when you call yourself progressives.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're looking forward with a dude that's going to be 82 and would leave office when he's 86. Really, y'all?
Stephen A. First criticism landed like a punch. He blasted Biden's decision to run in 2024 despite the obvious concerns surrounding his age. But here the twist: Stephen A. stressed that age itself wasn't the core issue. Being older wouldn't matter if Biden consistently projected sharpness, capability, and confidence.
Appeared diminished.
What troubled him, he said, was the perception that Biden no longer carried himself with the same command or clarity expected of a president. That point alone was enough to raise eyebrows, but what he said next is what will truly send shockwaves through progressive circles. He went further, saying out loud the worries many only whisper in private. The bluntness, the boldness, the refusal to sugarcoat anything is the kind of commentary that leaves audiences stunned, fired up, and debating for days.
Progressives,
buckle up. This isn't your standard polite critique.
And I'm like, I knew I wasn't voting for Trump. I knew that wasn't going to happen, but I was saying to myself, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? And then I looked at their bullpen. They had no one. They had no one. They had no one that could compete with Donald Trump.
Well, not on a charisma level.
Fair. Okay, fair enough.
No,
but charisma is what gets you votes, bro.
Absolutely. And I've said it a million times, insanity photographs.
Another headache for the DNC was figuring out how to counter someone as larger than life as Donald Trump. But even that wasn't the true dilemma.
The deeper problem,
according to moderates like Stephen A. and Bill Maher, was finding a Democrat who wasn't swept up in what they saw as the excesses of woke culture. At the time, America was wrestling with debates over identity, language, media, and cultural norms, arguments spilling from cable news all the way to coffee shop chatter. Then came Trump, loud, unapologetic, and seemingly unmoved by the left's newest orthodoxies. To Stephen A. and Maher, he wasn't just a political opponent. He was a walking, tweeting counter-reaction to the cultural tide they believed was overwhelming their own side. Love him or hate him, he became the lightning rod drawing frustration, fascination, and for some moderates, a reluctant sense of relief. Politics really can feel like a surreal reality show you just can't turn off.
But crazy people don't have the time to pretend about. That's why he can say whole countries.
You say the time.
As if nobody else ever said or thought that there were whole countries.
But Bill, you say the time. I say the interest. Like, for example, so you walk into Club Random, okay? Let the audience know what Club Random is.
Well, there's no audience.
It's a conversation.
That's what makes it so
watching out there. That's watching out there. Yeah, they're watching.
Oh, that's watching, yes.
It's watching, right? But it's no bullshit. You're going to have a real conversation. You're going to have a real conversation.
So real.
You're going to have a real conversation. That's why I'm here. I'm not wasting my time talking to somebody that's going to be a phony ass. I got better things to do with my time.
You're exactly the kind of guest I like.
You understand?
Because, you know.
Maher and Stephen A. argue that one of the biggest reasons many Americans gravitated toward Trump was the perception that he offered something raw and unfiltered. With Trump, they say, there are no polished pretense, no box-checking speeches, no carefully rehearsed lines. What you see is what you get: loud, brash, and unapologetically direct. He speaks plainly, calls things as he sees them, and has little tolerance for political theatrics or doublespeak. That kind of bluntness, whether people love it or can't stand it, resonates with voters who feel worn out by scripted politics. In their view, when you compare that to figures like Kamala Harris or Joe Biden, the contrast is striking: a layer of caution, measured phrasing, and tightly scripted messaging that can make genuine connection feel harder to grasp. In a moment when many Americans were hungry for something that felt honest or unscripted, Trump's blunt style came across as both refreshing and dangerously magnetic to those tired of politics as usual.
Yeah. If Trump wins, I'm like, you know what you're going to do? Go back and finish your $900 dinner for 4 people.
Right.
That's what you're going to do.
Yes.
And your taxes are probably going to go down like they did the first time, and everything else you can give a shit about.
They don't realize they make it hard on people like yourself and me who will vote liberal. But we're sensible. We're not extreme. We're not extreme.
That's why the election was lost.
You woke. Now you can. Now don't get me wrong. Inflation, immigration, of course. But that woke culture, they took the shit too far.
You got to watch my show. I know you don't get a chance to see it always. You have to see it Friday because
past Friday?
No, this current.
Oh, this current Friday.
Stephen A. wraps it up with a blunt critique in his view. The left didn't lose elections because of complex political strategy failures. They lost because of what he calls woke culture. And he's not talking about mild progressivism. He means the full tilt. Everything is offensive. Rewrite the standards mindset that he believes seeped into the heart of the DNC. At some point, even moderate liberals, he argues, started throwing up their hands. The rhetoric felt extreme. The debates seemed detached from everyday concerns, and the focus often drifted towards symbolic battles instead of real-world solutions.
Seriously?
You could practically hear people groaning. This is what we're arguing about. While the party was busy policing language and spotlighting every microaggression, the average voter, he says, was looking for practical answers, not a lecture. To many, it felt less like leadership and more like sitting through a never-ending class on how to be offended. And nobody wants to attend a class they never signed up for, no matter how woke it may be.
Pay for the damn show. But rather than flying out, I should stay. I was planning on leaving Friday.
Watch it in person.
I should come to the damn show just to watch. Just to watch it.
Awesome.
Just to watch it.
You can heckle it.
Absolutely.
You can yell at the screen.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Now Trump's in president. Now Trump's president. I can make that joke.
Very rude, very nasty question. You didn't even say hello.
I couldn't make that joke under Biden. Now I can make that joke.
Damn right.
All right. So here's the thing.
Right.
So there are all these,
And you couldn't even make that joke because everyone felt terrified they'd be canceled before the punchline even landed. In the climate critics associate with Biden presidency, cancel culture didn't just exist. It felt like it was training for a marathon. People were tiptoeing through conversations like they were walking on glass, worried that one misplaced word might cost them a job, a reputation, or even their spot in the family group chat.
It was that crazy.
It got to the point where everyday conversations sounded like someone defusing a bomb, slow, cautious, and praying no one misread a syllable. Social media felt like a minefield where even breathing wrong could spark outrage. And if you thought comedians, the people whose entire purpose is making fun of everything, got a free pass, not even close. They were getting hit from all sides for jokes that wouldn't have offended a goldfish a few years earlier. Comedy suddenly came with disclaimers, and clubs started feeling more like courtrooms. Half the audience laughed, the other half debated whether to laugh or tweet. It was a wild time, folks.
And I were friendly.
Right.
Before he ran for president. He used to have these boxing matches, particularly during the Tyson fights at the Trump casinos. He would be at the Knicks games and stuff like that. And if we're being totally honest, all the brothers found him to be cool.
Right.
They found him to be very cool. So let's be clear, because he knew his sports, all right? He would say what he feel.
Right.
He bucked the establishment, which we love, and we gravitated to that. And obviously, he was a billionaire.
Also, he was a certain age.
And it was
you
cool.
get a certain
it was cool.
understanding that white men of that age, they're going to be a little grandpa. We don't say that anymore. No, but like, him. Is he really like in his heart like hateful? No, I think I don't think his motivation is I don't like black people.
Here, Stephen A. and Bill Maher dive into a question that has puzzled plenty of political commentators. Why some black voters, especially black men, have shown more interest in Trump than in traditional Republican candidates. Their explanation isn't wrapped in political jargon. In their view, it comes down to one thing: perceived authenticity. Whether people love Trump or can't stand to hear him speak, they argue that he shows up exactly as he is. To them, many voters felt they were dealing with an actual person, not a carefully packaged political product. No consultant-approved buzzwords, no polished persona, no forced relatability. Just Trump chaotic, blunt, and unmistakably himself. For the black men they're referring to, that unfiltered quality mattered. They weren't seeking perfection. They were looking for someone who felt real, flaws and all. And in a political landscape full of rehearsed lines and plastic smiles, they say Trump's rough edges became one of his most unexpected selling points.
Minorities in this country that called him a racist did him a favor when they did that.
Interesting.
They did him a favor because it galvanized his base to say, we don't want to hear that. Look at the economy. Look at the borders. Look at crimes in the streets of America. We don't want to hear that. And he's able to easily dismiss that because on too many occasions you saw him on camera very comfortable with minorities. So because of that, the visual that you talk about, it played a role because he knew he had a portfolio of appearances with black folks throughout decades where you had no problem with him then.
Stephen A. argues that the media hurled every label imaginable. A Trump racist one day, dictator the next, and by the weekend someone had practically edited him into a World War II documentary. They called him narcissistic, dangerous, unhinged. If there was an insult, it got used. But here the twist he points out: instead of destroying Trump, the barrage often seemed to make him even more popular. Why? Because, as Stephen A. puts it, Americans already knew Trump long before he ever set foot in the White House. He wasn't some mysterious newcomer. He'd been on TV, in movies, and tabloids, on magazine covers front and center in American pop culture for decades. People watched him fire contestants on The Apprentice before they ever watched him fire off tweets as president. So when the media suddenly painted him as a comic book villain, many viewers felt like they were watching a scripted takedown of someone they'd already known for years. You can't cancel a public figure people feel they grew up with, and that, Stephen A. says, is exactly why the attacks didn't stick.
When his daddy owned apartment complexes and minorities was in those complexes, then don't you have to bring up Biden and his relationship with Senator Byrd? Yeah. You understand? Who was from West Virginia, who died at the age of 97, that was in office until he was about 97, who, by the way, was a former member of the Ku Klux Klan.
Was a Klan?
You have to bring that up. Don't you have to bring up the 90s when you had the Congressional Black Caucus and you talking about the crime bill that Clinton pushed through that Biden was so vociferous about? You have to bring this stuff up if you're going to bring up Trump in the 70s. So I'm listening to people and I'm like, are you trying to win or are you just trying to make noise? Because he's going to get past this.
What Stephen A. and Maher highlight next is the media failure, in their view, to practice the balance reporting it regularly preaches. Rather than examining both sides, they argue that many outlets went all in on portraying Trump and even members of his family as if they were the final villains in a superhero saga. Every headline felt like a dramatic plot twist. Meanwhile, Biden wasn't exactly walking around with a spotless political history, yet those issues seemed to receive far less scrutiny. It felt, they say, Like the media was shining a blinding spotlight on Trump while keeping a dimmer switch on for Biden. A prime example they point to is the Hunter Biden laptop controversy, treated by several outlets as something to sidestep rather than investigate. Like an awkward topic someone brings up at Thanksgiving before everyone quickly changes the subject. If balanced coverage were a graded subject, they joke that a few networks wouldn't pass the course. In the end, Stephen A. and Mar voiced what they believe many Americans were already feeling. The left drifted too far, the media lost its sense of balance, and voters lost patience. Between cultural overreach, cancel culture anxiety, and selective reporting, they argue that people gravitated toward authenticity, flawed, messy, unfiltered authenticity. And that how, in their view, Trump rawness outshined polished political theater. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this.
And subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.